Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit different than what you guys are used to seeing on here. I'm going to be showing you guys all of the books that I read in 2020. So guys, I've become a bookworm. I think I mentioned this in a recent video, but I never ever liked reading books. I would always try and get myself to read 2 books a year, and I never ended up reading it. I would read maybe 1 book, maybe. And even that was like a struggle sometimes. So I'm super proud of myself for how many books I read in 2020. Specifically from like October till December, I read almost all of these books except for 1, I think, maybe 2. So I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books in 2020. And that is huge for me, okay guys? And I do have a goal this year, if I continue the way I am, to read minimum 20 books. I think it's possible because I'm going to try and read 2 books a month, and it should be easy for me because I literally read all the time. I just wanted to go through all the books that I read in 2020 and give you guys a little insight on what they are, if I like them, if I would recommend them. So let's just get started. So I'm going to kind of split this up into fiction and nonfiction. I do tend to read more fiction. No, I do tend to read more nonfiction. Why can't I remember what one is? I always do this where I'm like, is fiction not real? I don't remember. Fiction. I do read more fiction. Nonfiction is where it's like self-help books and like real life stuff, whereas yeah, that's nonfiction, and then fiction is like fake imagination stories. So I do read more fiction novels, but I do have 2 nonfiction that I'm gonna just talk about first that I read, and both of these actually have completely changed my life and I really highly recommend. So first one being, and I read this closer to the beginning of the year actually, is Eating Mindfully: How to End Mindless Eating and Enjoy a Balanced Relationship with Food. So I still struggle with my eating habits. I occasionally go through binging and stuff like that, and so I was just in a really dark place when I ended up picking up this book with regards to food, and it changed the game for me. It's a super easy read. I think it's only 156 pages, which is another reason why I picked it up. But basically it says, the key to changing the way you eat is not discipline over what is on your fork, but mastery over your hungry mind. So it just talks a lot about how in this day and age we tend to not really focus on our portioning, and I don't mean by like weighing your food or counting your calories, but we don't actually look at the nutrition guide and say, okay, this is how much I should be eating every day and this is how much my body might need, and we also don't really think about how we're eating the food. So for example, like I usually eat in front of the TV, I still do that, but it's really important sometimes to just take a step back and be like, maybe I should eat at the dinner table with no distractions, focus on my chewing, really appreciate the food, and realize that I don't need any more. So that book that's the gist of the book. It kind of just talks about eating mindfully and how to do it in a healthy way without like restricting yourself. So yeah, I'm a huge fan, and I would really recommend picking this up if you guys are going through something with your food eating habits and just need a little pick-me-up. So yeah, this one, Eating Mindfully, it's by Susan Albers, and I really enjoy it. I'll give you guys a little bit of a close-up here. So that's that one. And then for the other nonfiction book that I picked up, I am obsessed with Jen Sincero. I read the yellow one of this. I think it's just called like You're a Badass at Life, like How to Make Your Life Awesome or something like that. But I ended up picking up You Are a Badass at Making Money, Master the Mindset of Wealth by Jen Sincero, and I have definitely gotten a lot better with money over the last few years, but reading this book in 2020 actually helped me so much. And I am a fan of these like positive energy books. I think that they're very enlightening and they put me in a good mood. But the one thing I would say about her books is that they're inspiring, but to a point, because you can't always just like assume that if you work hard you're going to make a lot of money. That is the case with a lot of people, but it's not always the case. So anyway, I would just take everything she says with a grain of salt, but I do still really like reading it, and there were a lot of really great tips in here for how to be making money and how to care about what you're doing in the process of making that money. So The back of it just says, "And you are a badass, world-renowned success coach, Jen Sincero liberated your inner awesome. And you are a badass at making money. She reveals the secrets to kicking serious financial butt. Drawing on her own transformation from a woman living in a converted garage with tumbleweeds blowing through her empty bank account to one who travels the world in style, Sincero gives you the tools and the permission to make the kind of money that's always seemed beyond reach." So like I said, it's basically just a tool, and it's not going to actually be the thing that helps you make money. But again, it's just a very positive book, and I love the way she writes. It's super casual, easy to get through. And yeah, I would really highly recommend picking up any of her books. I did just actually pick up her one about habits as well, which is like the purple one. Those are my nonfictions, and now we're gonna get into some fiction. So I'll go into the order of what I read them, because honestly, the first one that I read fiction-wise this year was, like I said, in like October, and it completely changed my life. I think that's very exaggerated, but it changed my life in the sense of like, wow, I actually really enjoy reading not just fiction novels specifically, but like thriller suspense fiction novels. So it is The Couple Next Door by Sherry LaPena. And let me just tell you guys, this is such an easy book for first timers, for newbies like me. I absolutely love the story of this novel. It is a suspense novel, and it's, you know, a good length. It's not too long or anything. But basically in this book, this couple who seems to be having a little bit of issues goes over to their neighbor's house, and they live in like one of those semi-duplexes, so their houses are attached. But they go over for a dinner party, and their baby is at home, and they have the monitor with them. So the mom at the party is just constantly feeling so terrible that she is leaving her kid at home by itself, even though she has the monitor. And every half hour they go and check on the kid, and at like 1 a.m. she goes over and their baby is gone. So it's like this huge mystery of just, you know, who took the kid, why did they take the kid, how did it happen, and there's a lot of twists and turns in it, and I just absolutely love this book. So I don't want to spoil it too much, but I would highly recommend picking this up if you are interested in the suspense thriller genre, because this is basically what got me into reading again, and I'm very appreciative of this book. So the next book that I read is probably one of my favorites that I read, honestly, and it is TheOne by John Mars. This book, holy crap, guys, it's so good. So it follows 5 different characters' stories, and they're in no way related. So it goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chapters of all the people, and then it goes and it starts over. So it's like, it's just so good the way it is, and all the chapters are actually pretty short in this one, which I'm a fan of. I think that it just makes the reading go by faster personally. But basically this one, I'll just read it because it says everything you need to know. So it says, "How far would you go to find the one? A simple DNA test is all it takes. Just a quick mouth swab, and soon you'll be matched with your perfect partner, the one you're genetically made for. That's the promise made by Match Your DNA. A decade ago, the company announced that they had found the gene that pairs each of us with our soulmate. Since then, millions of people around the world have been matched, but the discovery has its downsides. Test results have led to the breakup of countless relationships and upended the traditional ideas of dating, romance, and love. Now, 5 very different people have received the notification that they've been matched. They're each about to meet their one true love, but happily ever after isn't guaranteed for everyone, because even soulmates have secrets, and some are more shocking than others." Again, it's a suspense novel, but I just love this book so much, and it's actually planning on becoming a series, almost like Black Mirror, I believe, on Netflix. So if you were interested in watching it, I would highly recommend reading this book first and then watching it when it comes out. But yeah, this one I think was probably my favorite, or one of my favorites of 2020. I absolutely love this book, and it just kept me wanting to read more after every single chapter. So the next book that I wanted to show you, I guess isn't in the right order, but I read this like early 2020, and I think I actually read it like end of 2019 a little bit too, but it is called In Between the Sheets by, who is it? It's my favorite like author, basically, Ian McEwan, I believe his name is. He is the one who made the Atonement novel and the movie and stuff. Absolutely love his work, so beautiful. But this is kind of more of like an erotic book. There's definitely some violence in it as well. It's interesting. but it, again, is a really short book. And it says, a two-timing pornographer becomes the unwilling object of one of his victims' vengeful fantasies. A millionaire buys himself the perfect mistress, passive yet beautiful, but the union soon becomes a nightmare of jealousy and despair. And an ape reflects on his relationship with a young female writer, mourning their fading love and musing on the fateful deceptions of art. In these 7 stories of dreamlike lucidity, the wasteland of the human psyche is mapped with deadly precision. So it's just a bunch of short stories, 7 to be exact, and they're all kind of like romantic / sexual, but also kind of have to do with writing, that type of thing. So it's kind of like funny because it's called In Between the Sheets, and at first I thought it was just going to be sexual, but the sheet part can also refer to like paper and writing and stuff, so it's kind of fun. But anyway, yeah, I would highly recommend this one as well if you're interested in something a little more erotic, and I really did enjoy it, actually. Next up, we have The Beauty of the End, and this one here is definitely one that I was a little bit hesitant about. I would say 3/4 of this book I was bored. But on the other end of things, it was the only book I've read in 2020 that made me cry. So yes, it's slow and it's kind of boring until you reach the end, and the end is just, it's just a lot, okay? There's so much that happens in this book. It is a quite sad book, but I did enjoy it in the end. So basically it says, so begins the testimony of Noah Calloway, an ex-lawyer and armchair criminal psychologist. Now living aimlessly in the English countryside, Noah is haunted by the memory of the beguiling young woman who left him at the altar 16 years earlier. Then he receives a troubling phone call. April lies in a coma, the victim of an apparent overdose, and the lead suspect in a brutal murder. Deep in his bones, Noah believes that she's innocent, but he also believed they would spend the rest of their life together. While Noah searches for evidence to clear April's name, a teenager named Ella begins to sift through the secrets of her own painful family history. The same age as April when Noah first met her, Ella may hold the key to solving the murder. As the two stories converge, there are shocking consequences when at last the truth emerges. So, like I said, I don't know, it's very slow. There are 2 stories throughout the novel, and it was kind of confusing, and I didn't really know when they were going to converge, but they did, and when they did, it was beautifully written. The ending is so beautiful. The storyline is so sad and poetic, and I would really recommend reading this book if you are interested in that sort of thing. It does have a lot of darkness, like I said, so bear that in mind. The Beauty of the End was a book I wasn't really interested in reading at first, but it ended up being a good one. My next book, guys, I think that this one's probably my close second after TheOne, and it is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I'm sure everyone and their mother has heard of this book by now. Colleen is an amazing writer. The way she does it is just so smooth and easy to follow and beautifully written. Again, this is actually more of a very erotic thriller novel, but I was a huge fan. I love the story and the plot idea, and it's just a work of art, if I do say so myself. So I'll read the back. It says, Loan Ashley is a struggling writer on the brink of financial ruin when she accepts the job offer of a lifetime. Jeremy Crawford, husband of best-selling author Verity Crawford, has hired Loan to complete the remaining books in a successful series his injured wife is unable to finish. Loan arrives at the Crawford home ready to sort through years of Verity's notes and outlines, hoping to find enough material to get her started. What Loan doesn't expect to uncover in the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography Verity never intended for anyone to read. Page after page of bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's recollection of the night their family was forever altered. Loan decides to keep the manuscript hidden from Jeremy, knowing its contents would devastate the already grieving father. But as Loan's feelings for Jeremy begin to intensify, she recognizes all the ways she could benefit if he were to read his wife's words. After all, no matter how devoted Jeremy is to his injured wife, a truth this horrifying would make it impossible for him to love her again. It's kind of a romantic love novel in a way, but it is very dark. It talks a lot about like death in the family and stuff like that. And the end, like the plot twist in the end of this book was probably the biggest one I had read all year. I started reading it and I just started laughing because I was like, of course this would happen. But again, I would really recommend reading this, and I would recommend reading other books of hers. I actually just picked up Layla, which came out at the end of 2020. So I'm gonna read that one eventually too. But this is what it looks like. I love the cover of this one. So yeah, Verity by Colleen Hoover. Go check it out. Guys, we are on the last book, and to be honest, I read a lot of this one in the beginning of 2021, but I did start it in 2020. So it is The Silent Patient, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of as well. This one was it was slow, kind of like The Beauty of the End, but it was so good. And again, the twist at the end was pretty comparable to Verity's. It was just like, whoa, 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 like just wild. So I really enjoyed reading this one as well. Basically, this one is about a painter named Alicia Burnson, and she was married to, what, I think he was like a photographer. Yeah, a photographer, and she basically, or at least it comes off the way, she kills her husband, and then she never speaks again. So they go through a whole court trial and everything, and she never speaks a word, and they just assume that she's gone mad. So they put her in a psych ward, and this psychotherapist named Theo Faber, which by the way, I love that name, Theo Faber, it's badass. But yes, anyway, so a psychotherapist named Theo Faber ends up wanting to just try and get her to speak and understand why she is the way she is. So he gets hired at the place that she is residing, and he's her counselor. So he just tries to get her to speak, and he investigates the situation, and again, there's a twist at the end. So I would highly recommend picking this one up if you are interested in that sort of thing. This one is definitely pretty twisted. There's a lot of like gory stuff that happens, but I really liked it. So that was my last book of 2020, 8 books, and most of those being at the end of 2020, which is very impressive for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys end up wanting to pick up one of these books, because honestly, I would say they're all worth picking up, and it really just depends on your perspective and what you like reading. But I was a really big fan, and if you guys like this type of video, please let me know, because I would love to do more. I would love to do like seasonal ones, so like for the winter, spring, summer, and fall. Just let me know. I'd be down to do it. So thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, and do not forget to turn on those post notifications if you want to see more from me in the future. Bye guys.